Let's talk about Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but forget seeing it as just some classic novel on a dusty shelf. Today, we're going to crack it open like a writer's toolkit. We're going to break down Twain's masterpiece and turn it into a practical masterclass, giving you real, tangible tools to level up your own craft.
And it really all starts right here, with this powerhouse quote from Ernest Hemingway. You know, he wasn't exaggerating. Hemingway saw Huckleberry Finn as the foundational text, literally the blueprint for American literature. So for us, as writers, the question is pretty simple. What's in that blueprint, and what can it teach us today?
To figure that out, we're going to deconstruct Twain's craft into 5 key lessons. We'll start with how he totally changed the American voice itself. Then we'll dive into the engine of the story, character. After that, we'll look at world building, his brilliant use of satire, and finally, we'll bring it all together to see what it teaches us about creating a really powerful climax.
First up, the blueprint. You see, before Huck Finn, a lot of American literature tried to sound, well, British. It was really formal, kind of stuffy. Twain just shattered that mold. He was one of the first to capture how Americans really sounded, regional, a little rough around the edges, and just so vibrantly alive. And pay attention to that word, fashioned. Twain wasn't just recording how people talked. He painstakingly crafted a literary style out of the dialects he heard in the Mississippi Valley. For any writer, this is lesson number 1. Authentic voice isn't just about being realistic. It's about building a unique language for your world that feels true and finding the poetry in the way people actually speak. So that authentic voice is just our starting point. Now we get to the real engine of the story, the character's heart. See, the true genius of Huckleberry Finn isn't the adventure on the river. It's the adventure that's happening inside of Huck's soul. The central conflict isn't man versus nature. It's man versus himself. And Twain, brilliant as he was, gave us the perfect language for it. In his own notebooks, he called Huck's struggle a battle between a sound heart and a deformed conscience. The heart, that's Huck's gut-level sense of right and wrong. The conscience, well, that's what so-called civilization has taught him is right. For any writer, this is a masterclass in building a character. Pit their inner truth against the lies the world has told them. That's where the drama is.
And this just illustrates that internal war so perfectly. On one side, you've got the sound heart. It's all about empathy and loyalty, things he learned from his experiences on the raft with Jim. But on the other side, you've got this deformed conscience, just parroting the rules of a society that says his friend, Jim, is property. This constant tug of war is what makes Huck feel so incredibly real, and it drives his every single decision.
So how do you show that internal battle actually playing out on the page? Well, Twain does it through a series of escalating moral tests. First, Huck humbles himself and apologizes to Jim, which was a huge deal for a white boy in that era. Then, he actively breaks the law by lying to slave hunters. See how each step raises the stakes? It's a victory for the sound heart, and it's all building to that final, ultimate test. This is a totally replicable structure you can use for your own character's arcs.
Okay, so we've got our character's internal conflict. Now, how do we make the world around him reflect that? This is where Twain's use of symbolism becomes such a powerful tool for us as writers. He doesn't just describe the setting, he makes the setting mean something.
The entire novel is basically built around this powerful contrast. The river, that's a space of freedom, right? It's where social rules just dissolve, and a real brotherhood can form between Huck and Jim. But the second they step onto the shore, bam! They're right back in a world of restriction, hypocrisy, and all these cruel social codes. As a writer, this is a brilliant technique. Use your geography to physically represent your story's main themes. Make your setting an active player in the conflict. And Twain is so smart, he doesn't just tell us this, he lets Huck show us. This one line just perfectly captures the feeling of the raft as a sanctuary. It's not just a way to get from point A to point B, it's a whole state of being. Using your character's voice to define the emotional meaning of a place, man, that's a technique that connects the reader so deeply to both the character and the world. All right, now for one of Twain's most famous tools. This book is funny, like genuinely laugh-out-loud funny. But the humor isn't just for kicks. Twain wields humor like a surgeon's scalpel, using it to dissect all the hypocrisies of his time. He's not just making jokes, he's making a serious point. So, let's look inside Twain's toolkit here. He uses the picaresque style, this episodic journey, which lets Huck just wander through different parts of society, exposing the flaws in each one. He uses this biting satire to just skewer everything from religious hypocrisy to mob mentality. Then he throws in these farcical, ridiculous characters like the Duke and the King to show how easily people can be fooled. And he even uses those authentic dialects we talked about to create both humor and realism at the same time.
And here's the secret sauce, right? This is the crucial technique. Satire lets a writer talk about really heavy subjects without sounding preachy. Twain makes us laugh at the absurd antics of the Duke and the King, and it's only after we're done laughing that we realize he's just shown us something deeply disturbing about human greed and gullibility. It's a classic move. You disarm the leader with a laugh before you land the critical punch.
So, let's bring it all home. We've got an authentic voice, a character with a deep internal conflict, a world full of symbols, and a razor-sharp satirical edge. All of these writerly tools come together and converge in one of the most powerful moments in all of American literature, the novel's moral climax.
This is it. This is the moment, the decision. Huck has just written a letter to Miss Watson to betray Jim. He's about to do what his deformed conscience has told him is the right, civilized thing, but then he stops. He thinks of his friendship, their journey on the river, and he tears the letter up. In choosing to save his friend, he truly believes he is damning his own soul for eternity. This is the ultimate victory of the sound heart.
For any writer, this single moment is a masterclass. It's the ultimate payoff for Huck's entire character arc. It's a thematic victory where the freedom of the river finally wins out over the hypocrisy of the shore. It is also the book's greatest satirical punchline, a devastating critique of a society where doing the right thing means choosing to go to hell. And more than anything, it shows the incredible power of a single, definitive choice to crystallize a character's growth.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Twain used a runaway kid to hold a mirror up to all the failings of 19th century America. But the tools he developed, that authentic voice, the internal moral conflict, the biting satire, they're absolutely timeless. So the question for every writer listening is this. If a modern Huck Finn were floating down a river today, what hypocrisies, what injustices, what uncomfortable truths would he see on our shore? And how would you tell that story?